My brother finally realized what a narcissist his ex-girlfriend is after she demanded he pay her car payments.
Can he pay my car payments too?
Yeah, can he pay mine as well? I mean, if that's going around these days. Context, my brother dated a narcissist that lied with every breath she took, faked illnesses for both her and her children, made sure my niece, the only biological child my brother has, didn't get anything that her 4 crotch goblins couldn't get to, cheated on him, and gaslit him to the point my brother's view of himself was completely destroyed. By the way, this comes from user Smile Fearless, and if you want to submit your stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. He was basically in an abusive relationship for 10 years and didn't realize it until recently. She had all his passwords, later found out she had all his daughter's passwords as well, and would make Facebook posts on their behalf to type about how she was an amazing wife and stepmom and how much they adored her. My niece was the first to admit she never wrote any of that stuff, and then, in actuality, she hated Sharon. Well, the witch named Shannon left my brother for another man. After the initial hurt wore off, he realized how much better his life was without her. He was able to actually spend money on himself. He bought himself new jeans, got a new car, and lavished his daughter with everything he wouldn't have been able to get her before, because if he did, he would have had to buy 5 of them, because if her children didn't get it, it wasn't fair, and she'd pitch a raging fit. My niece got a new wardrobe, a new phone, new baseball gear, you name it. The funny thing is that Shannon left my brother for a man she thought was rich, but it turns out he was just as much of a liar as she was. Oh, they're perfect for each other.
That's a great couple.
For the first time, her children didn't have new clothes for school and her bills were starting to pile up. At one point, she did do something nice. She returned a phone that my brother was wanting back. She had stolen a lot of his things when she left, mostly his hoodies my mother had bought him for Christmas. Now, after she did this, she contacted my brother asking if he would pay her $900 car payment because she's at risk for having her car repossessed. My brother was understandably floored. She asked such a thing and he told her no. Thanksgiving was coming up and he needed the money to travel to the US. This would be the first time he'd ever been able to spend it with us in years. Every holiday she'd try and keep him from coming, and if they did come, her kids would run around being loud and eating my other niece's diabetic snacks. If we got onto them, Shannon would get huffy and demand to leave because, quote, our family was disrespecting her again as a mother. Her little demons are just the worst, and to make matters more horrifying, she'd put them up to doing things. Once she even got her little girl to throw rocks at my mother, and when she asked her to stop because she could put an eye out, went to Facebook and completely twisted the story, saying my mom screamed in her poor girl's face, which did not happen.
Who is this woman?
Just a vile witch from some unspoken place. I don't know.
From the core of this planet?
From the woods. She crawled out of a den in the woods. She's a force of nature.
Getting the children involved to do your dirty work it's
crazy. Shannon got angry with my brother and started posting on Facebook telling everyone that my brother was selfish, that he had all this money now and wouldn't help her. Of course, people started looking at her like she was a lunatic. She left my brother, bragged she had a rich man, and was now saying my brother was selfish for not paying her bills. Word got back to my brother, and for the first time, he stood up for himself. He told her that he sacrificed 10 years of his life and went without so that she and her children didn't have to. And how did she repay him? By cheating on him, causing problems for our family, manipulating his daughter, spreading lies about him, and now she has the audacity to call him selfish. Shannon promptly deleted the Facebook post and has been quiet for a few days now, which, by the way, you should be screenshotting these to have as evidence. But I'm so proud of my brother for standing his ground and not giving in to her. Considering we dealt with this woman for 10 years, there's a lot of stories that I have about her, and she just continues to create more. I'm not exaggerating when I say she'll stab you in the back, tell you about how every man wants her, and then start drama just so she can twist it around where she's the victim. And there is an update. What could we possibly hear about in this update?
She changed her ways, she's asking for forgiveness, and she's going to pay her car loans.
I am going to go ahead and guess the exact opposite of that. I'm going to guess a little cheeky breaking and entering going on here.
You know, I'm a pessimist.
I made a post yesterday about my brother's ex-narcissistic girlfriend, and some people asked for more stories or an update when one comes out. There will probably be one soon, as my niece is running for homecoming queen after being chosen by some of her classmates. Shannon's eldest daughter, we'll call her Minnie, is in the same grade as my niece, and they're both livid. My family dealt with Shannon for nearly 10 years, and in those years, she racked up quite a few stories. One of them that I remember the best was when we first found out about her true nature. My brother had just divorced my niece's mother, which, just really quick, I think is Shannon. My mom and I were going over to his house to redecorate and paint the place up to kind of cheer him up by making it more his style. I was only like 14 or 15 when this happened. When we pulled up to the house, there were piles of clothing outside in the yard along with furniture. My mom was confused, and my brother explained that Shannon's mother kicked her and the kids out after a heated argument, and they had nowhere else to go. He didn't know what to do. He didn't agree to let her stay with him, but she had 3 kids at the time and was pregnant with another. He felt like he didn't have a choice but to let her stay, and ironically enough, my mom believes Shannon and her mother planned this because the very next day they had lunch together and acted like the best of friends. Yeah, it sounds like the narcissistic scheming apple doesn't fall far from the narcissistic scheming tree.
They're very delectable in fall time.
And they're not bitter. They're just crab apples, dude. There's a couple crab apples. My brother's biological father was anything but a family man, so my brother strives to be the exact opposite of him. Within a month of them dating, Shannon was already moving into his home. My mother and I helped her move things in, and my mom got to notice a few red flags. The main I remember being is that all the children's clothes looked 2 sizes too small for them. I looked at the kids, and she was right. The clothes they were wearing were stained up, which is normal for children, and they were much too small. We questioned it, and Shannon painted a haunting story about how abusive her ex-husband was, how he had stolen all of her children's good clothes and locked her in a bathroom to keep her from leaving, and how she had to climb out the window to get away from him. My mom found that to be an odd story. Why would he steal their clothes? After some snooping, my mom found out her ex was actually a decent man who didn't have any of his children's clothes other than what he bought them after they split up. He stated Shannon never bought the kids new clothing, and this would prove to be true in the years to come. Now, while my mom and I were decorating my brother's home, one thing she did was hang several pictures of my brother and his daughter in the living room. The biggest picture was one we had professionally done of my niece in a white dress holding a lacy umbrella that made her look like a little doll when she was younger, around 3. She was about 5 or 6 when this happened. A few weeks after moving in, Shannon stated that she wanted to take family photos for her parents and asked my mother, who was working on getting her photography career off the ground, to take them. My mother agreed, and the day she chose to take them, my niece was at her mother's house. Now, at one point during the photo taking, she asked my brother to be in them. My mom was hesitant, stating if she wanted to include my brother, then would she mind waiting for a day when his daughter was here to be in the photograph? Shannon stated that it was just for her parents and grandparents, that they liked my brother a lot and would love to have him in the photo. Not wanting to argue, my mom took the photos, and after they were finished with touch-ups, my mom gave her a few of the copies. The next time we went over to their house, I saw my mom freeze in the doorway. I looked up and noticed that the wall we had decorated with pictures had been altered. The only pictures with my niece in it were the small ones, and the rest had been moved, including the large professional one. In its place, the family photo with my brother in it and without my niece.
I wonder who moved it.
This is just creepo behavior. Like, I know this seems like a small thing to blow up at, but honestly, I'd kind of be blowing up.
This is getting to the territory of psychotic.
Right, where it's like, I'm sorry, who do you think you are? You think you can just come in here and, change the photographs in my house?
Like, 1 or 2, fine, but all the ones, especially with the niece in them.
She thinks, she can come in there and then
we had nowhere to go.
I guess it's not their house, but it's like...
But it's still very odd.
My mom demanded to know where the photo was in a not-so-calm voice. Way to go, Mom. Shannon explained she had it moved to the hallway. My mom went to the hall and stopped when she was in my niece's room. The new bunk bed my brother had bought her had Crayola all over it. It was built from wood, so the Crayola couldn't wash off entirely. Her shelves that had expensive Barbies still in the box were ripped from the walls. My mom walked in just in time to see one of the boys jump from her top bed onto a mattress that had been dragged into the room and possibly for the other kids to sleep on. The youngest girl was hanging from one of the shelves that hadn't been torn down yet. The kids were treating her room like a jungle gym while my niece was at her mother's. Get her out of there, dude.
Shannon is... scum of the earth.
And so clearly, OP's niece that is being sort of excluded here is not Shannon's daughter.
No.
So it's like, that's why this is happening.
That's why, because
which is the biggest scumbag thing you could do as someone entering a relationship and you have kids of your own. And you're going to, exclude your partner's kids?
She's not mine. I didn't give birth to her, so I shouldn't care.
Scumbag. My mom went crazy bananas, yelling at them that what they were doing wasn't safe before completely rounding on Shannon. I won't say my mom was calm because she wasn't. all our work to make the house look nice was being destroyed, and my niece is and always has been a neat freak who was going to probably burst into tears when she saw her room. My mom began screaming at Shannon, stating how dare she let her children destroy someone else's room, and how dare she move a family photo onto the wall. Didn't she realize how that would make my niece feel excluded? Yes, she did. I'm gonna guarantee you that she did. Shannon began to cry, stating that she didn't want to make her children feel left out. And what about my kids? Are my kids supposed to go without? My brother was on my mom's side as he hadn't seen the room yet. However, that changed with one thing Shannon did. She faked heart complications. She clutched her chest and told my mom she couldn't get worked up. She had a heart condition. We later learned from her family that this was a lie. Psychotic behavior.
At first, I was like, okay, maybe she's just a terrible person, but she's a terrible person who's also a psychopath.
Psychotic. My brother, who became worried, told my mom he would talk to her. My mom told me to get into the car and we left. She was livid the entire night. And of course, when my niece got home, she saw her room and the family photo. I'm not sure how she reacted to the room, but the next time she came over to our house, she asked my mom why she would take a family photo without her. My brother promptly removed the photo, telling Shannon she wanted to give it to her parents, so it better go to their house. Of course, she fake cried again, stating my brother didn't see her children as family. When that didn't work, she pretended that her getting upset caused her to have more heart pains. And after that, my brother began walking on eggshells to prevent her from getting upset, worried he'd throw her into a heart attack. It's truly, get her out of here. Get her out of here. I don't want her in the same solar system as me.
What's up with the brother just not figuring it out?
I don't know, man.
It's just so blatant, smack in the face, like so red all over. But what are you doing?
He probably leads with his heart, dude, you know? We only learned recently that she doesn't have this heart condition and never did. It was all used as a weapon to keep my brother from upsetting her. The next time we came over to the house, my brother had put the shelves back up and from what I could tell, tried his hardest to scrub the Crayola off the bed. But the kids were still jumping off the top bunk and making an overall mess out of her room. When I questioned it, Shannon gave me a look and stated, well, they live here too. They need a room too. My problem wasn't the room, but rather the fact that they were bothering my niece's things and destroying the room. I had no problem with them sleeping in it or keeping their toys in it. However, believing that her heart condition was real, I bowed out of the conversation, worried I'd set her off. Things only escalated when my mom put up photos of all her grandkids and children around her fireplace. When Shannon came over, her face fell and she began hysterically crying, stating that my mother didn't see her children as her grandkids. My mom was floored, saying she'd only known her children for like 6 months and didn't have any photos of them anyways. Shannon complained to my brother, but he told her that she couldn't force mom to change how she decorates, especially if she doesn't have pictures. So my mom cut a deal with Shannon. If she provides the picture, she'd put them up. However, Shannon didn't do this and instead told anyone who would listen that my mother hated her children. When asked about it, my mom said she had nothing against the kids. They were just kids. Their mother, however, she was beginning to hate very much. Within a few months, Shannon's children had broken my brother's TV, spray painted his coffee table, somehow managed to cut up the walls with what may have been scissors, destroyed nearly anything decorative that was glass, and tore holes in his couch.
So they're demons.
How are the kids spray painting the coffee table? Who's watching these little
kids are breaking
monsters?
What are they doing? Are they doing WWE moves in the house?
And how is this being let slide? This is insane. All of his nice furniture was replaced by secondhand things that didn't look nearly as good or match together. What was worse was when he lost the house, Shannon had stated that she was paying the house payment. But the woman they were supposed to be making payments to said she hadn't received money in 9 months. So not only are kids ruining things, she's not paying the payments. And how are they not broken up already?
Love is stronger than any material in this world, Dakota.
This might be a really hot take. I don't know. But I feel like your partner having demon children, a perfectly acceptable reason to not be with them. So my brother ended up being evicted from his house and had to move into an apartment in Shannon's name that her father had given to them. When this happened, my mom demanded to know why Shannon didn't move into this apartment when her mother first kicked her out. But of course, Shannon faked her heart condition again, saying it was too stressful for her to talk about the situation with her mother. Even though they hung out often, according to her, they were still fighting. That is, her mother. Within less than a year, my brother lost most of his good furniture and his house, but was too afraid to say anything because he was afraid of upsetting Shannon, and we didn't know it at the time, but she was using his divorce against him, using it to make him feel like if he didn't have her, he'd never have anyone, that she was this angel that accepted him, and that his wife left him because he was
I feel bad for the brother, but also, why are you so gullible, dude?
Giving her the number 15, man. So my brother is very self-conscious about his intellect, as he does have a learning disability. So he started going with what Shannon said.
Oh my God.
Because he saw her as this intelligent person that knew better.
He has a learning disability, and she's taking so much advantage. Oh, dude, I want to drop kick her.
I'm gonna freaking
back to the depths she came from.
Now my brother is constantly down on himself. He's afraid to try anything career-wise if it has a written exam that has to be taken, such as real estate, because he believes he's not smart enough to pass it. And because the apartment was in her name, anytime my brother would do something like question her motives, she'd just throw him out. My brother, feeling like he was in the wrong, would always apologize, and she'd take him back and give him a second chance. Since she loved him so much, she really just messed with his head. The house and the furniture were just items, but my brother and niece's self-esteem and empathy towards others has been completely altered. They both think lowly of themselves and are both now very hesitant to believe anyone's stories, which is sad because most sane people aren't going to lie about having a medical condition, which is true. This person is insane. I know it really affected my niece because I was telling her about a girl I know who had cancer a few months back, and one of the first questions she asked me was, "Are you sure she really had it?" I told her people don't lie about that, and there's video of her ringing the bell when she was deemed cancer-free. Shout out my mom who did the same thing, as well as pictures of her after she shaved her hair when it was falling out. Her response, Shannon would lie. I couldn't disagree with her because all of the medical illnesses she said she had or her children had only turned out to be lies. So examples include one of her children having autism and the other one having her stomach muscles deteriorate to the point that her intestines had fallen on top of each other, making it where she couldn't use the bathroom. No surgery was ever done, and supposedly the doctor gave her little laxatives. I'm not a doctor, but I'm pretty sure that's a serious condition requiring surgery. It's a little heartbreaking to know this woman warped my niece's view of the world to the point she now thinks people's actions or their medical state might have some ulterior motive. Now, my brother is showering her with gifts and trying his best to move on with a new girlfriend he met. However, every night, at least during the beginning stages of the relationship, he called my mom terrified that he's going to screw it up. He's going to bounce back. Hey, you're going to bounce back, find a great partner.
He needs a support compass also, because this is 10 years of him just being, his brain morphing into like, I'm not good enough. I'm not the best.
Yeah,
So,
you need probably some counseling, some therapy.
I think for OP and their mom
the children.
and the children.
The children who have had their confidence and their worldview mixed up by this individual need guidance.
Yeah, but
100%.
This is so bad. I feel so bad.
Yeah, and dude, let this be a lesson. Like, if you feel weird vibes, your gut will seldom lead you wrong.
Always trust your gut.
If your gut's telling you something, like, hear it out at the very least.
So Shannon is a scumbag demon, a psychopath, it seems like, and a pathological liar.
Yeah, a great combo, the unholy trinity. Before we get into it, I just want to let you guys know that you can listen to full episodes with stories like this. All you got to do is go to your favorite podcast platform, whatever it may be, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts from, and search OK Storytime.
Easy.
And there we are. You'll have the entire catalog to browse through at your leisure. One night, he called her, the demon, ranting about how much of an idiot he was and how he knew he blew it with her, that she'd never want to talk to him again, etc. What did he do? Well, he was supposed to be going over to her house and fell asleep and woke up at midnight. His new girlfriend, I'll call Rhonda, since she likes MMA, was a little niffed, but said she knew he had just gotten off work. She joked that he hadn't blown it yet, but if he stood her up again, she'd be at his front door.
Okay, so this is at least a better partner in the better direction, that seems like.
Yeah, a normal response with understanding and a little bit of cheeky humor there.
Yeah.
There are a lot more stories of Shannon since, again, 10 years of this mess. Manipulation, lies, and fake illnesses were normally her calling card for the dramatic situations she'd rope people into, normally ending it by twisting the situation where she somehow became the victim. And that's the end of that story. Look,
okay.
Look, here's what I'll say, all right?
We ended on like a decent
What we're
note.
gonna say, right, is that the brother, the children, all the people who were impacted mentally by her manipulations have sought therapy, all right, have sought group counseling. I'm putting that out there. That's what they were going to do. The brother is still in a great relationship now with Rhonda. Yes?
Yes.
And just a warning again, if you just listen to this story and you realize, oh, that kind of sounds like my partner, but my partner's great, you have to re-examine your relationship.